Hello and welcome back to What I Think I Know with your host, Dan Brigantino. This week, what I think I know is that the debate has been settled. All the immigrants and whatnot coming into the country during the Biden administration, immigrants, I should say, just the fellas walking through the border and staying without letting anybody know they're here or anything. I think we've finally come to the conclusion that, yeah, that's no good. Two National Guardsmen standing on duty in Washington, D.C., just like a block away from the White House, shot by a illegal migrant or immigrant or whatever from Afghanistan. Really just like, what? I, First off, it's a terrorist attack, clearly. And this man should probably be the first public hanging. I think kind of everything about the situation. Illegal shouldn't be here in the first place. Terrorists, he's part of all that crap going on. Yeah, I think he's a great candidate for our country's first public hanging in well, a long time at least. The last one was probably somewhere in the early 1900s. I didn't look that up, but I should. Anyway, we have another candidate actually for this same grand opportunity. There was a fella, I think it was in Chicago, on a what do you call it? An underground train, subway. And a fella walks up behind a lady, 23-year-old young woman, pours some gasoline on her, and she jumps up like, what the heck, and starts moving to the other side of the train, trying to get away from this fella. He ended up lighting his water bottle on fire and threw it at her. Well, it wasn't water, of course, it was gasoline. And she, as far as I know, is still in intensive care. They're still not sure if she's going to make it. I think regardless if she makes it or not, it should just be treated as a murder because it essentially was, it was an attempted murder. But semantics, who gives a shit? He murdered her current life. She will be forever scarred by that moment, not just mentally, but also physically. If she does survive, she will be covered head to toe in burn scars. I don't really know who this lady was. Her pictures that are going around kind of make it look like she's like a dancer or something, which in my mind kind of makes it even harder because she is, physically active, doing art and things like that. It is an incredibly disturbing event, and I think it's the third person set on fire in a subway this year. That's alarming, extremely alarming. There's a simple way to stop all of this stuff. All of these criminals who do things like stab young girls in the neck on the bus or set someone on fire, almost every single one of them has been arrested a number of times. Now, somebody, when I found out about this information, this is how they presented it to me, and I'd like to do it the same with you because it's outrageous. We know the guy who murdered, and I'm always forgetting her last name, Irina Zurinsky, I think it was. I believe he was arrested 18 times and let go every time. Take a guess. With this newest arson attack, take a guess how many times this fella has been arrested and let go. I'll give you a minute here. I know it's going to be an outrageous number, and I'm a little kind of late to the story, so maybe you already know. But anyway, it's not 18, it's not 23, it's not 43, it's 72 times. This man has been arrested and set free prior to this incident. So I believe he was arrested. I hope to God he was arrested. And that would be his 73rd time. I think there is already some opportunity for him to not get the death penalty, not get life in prison, but end up on parole someday and be back out on the streets. So I think either one of these fellas, I shouldn't do this hand symbol, but this is what used to be weighing the whatever different items kind of thing. This is a weigh scale, not 6 or 7. Anywho, yeah, I think both of these guys are optimal. Maybe do it together. Do it together. Put them right next to each other on the. Oh man, it's been so long since we've had a hanging. I can't remember what the thing's called. What do you call that thing? The hanging tree, but it's the gallows. There you go. Yeah, maybe they should sit next to each other on the gallows. I think that'd be a great option. Get to watch both of them go. Somalians out in Minnesota, they have sent some $250 million back home to their preferred country, Somalia. Pretty wild what these people do, think, say, all that stuff. Here is a clip of just a random Somalian saying that she's Somalia first.
ahayd dawladda Mareykanka waxay ka qabanaysaa wixii annaga aan dhahno dawladda Mareykanka qabo waa kalsoonidaas inaan isku qabno annaga Soomaali hadii aan nahay wadankan annaga ku nool wadankan wadankii aan annaga tax ka dhiibna waaye waa wadankii gabar idinka dhalatayne ee Congress ka fadhiso intii aniga aan Congress joogo wadanka Soomaaliya biyaheeda dad kaleeta iyo badeeda dad kale ma qaadanayaan wadanka Mareykankana kuma taageerayo dad kaleeta in annaga ayna dhacaan marka taas ka seexda reer Minnesota gabadhii Congress u dirsateen way idinka war haysaa sidaad idinka u dareemaysiin dantaas ay u dareemeen madaxweyne Xasan Sheekhna.
And of course, the randomness of that Somalian, maybe not. Maybe I bent the truth on that one. That's Ilhan Omar, a congresswoman. Now, we do have, I can't remember what exactly it was, if it was a bill or what. I should have looked into this more too, but somebody somewhere in the government has proposed a new rule saying essentially, if you are not a citizen of this country, you cannot hold public office, local, state, or federal. I think that's a great idea. If you're not a citizen of this country, you have no skin in the game. You don't care enough about this country to hold office. A lot of people who already hold office and are American citizens also don't have a shit to give about our country, but they're still in power, and at least I guess they're American citizens. But yeah, I think that's a great option. I don't really understand how that wasn't a thing prior to now. Maybe it was and it got swept under the rug kind of thing. I don't know, but we'll figure it out about that. Anyway, yeah, it's these Somalian people out in Minnesota are taking money from assistance providers, essentially. You know, they get themselves labeled as disabled or single family. You know, one of the father left kind of thing, or they need food stamps. You know, assistance on living, things like that. And they're funneling all this money in. And I've gone over this before. What they're really doing, they subscribe to polygamy. So one guy will have like 5 wives, 8 wives on a street, each in their own homes, and each with 5, 6, 12 children, and he'll be the father of all of those 20 kids. And all those mothers go to the welfare office and say, "Hey, my husband left me. I need money for my kid." And they go, "Sure, no problem. I'm for that. I think it's great that a single mother has the ability to get assistance like that. I think that's wonderful because there are a lot of single mothers who, maybe they have 4 kids and they do not really have time to work a full 8-hour shift and take care of kids. Even if you only got 1 kid, I don't like the fact that some people have to do that. Now, is it the government's fault? Is it the taxpayers' fault? No. It's the bad decisions of the parents that led to them being in this situation in the first place, but the kids should not suffer for the parents' wrongdoing. Unfortunately, it's going to teach the kids that they could just go to the government for assistance in the future and all that stuff. So there's some positives and some minuses. I'm doing it again. I don't like that. There are some pluses and some minuses to it. And in the end, I don't think we're quite ready to get rid of all those care systems. Now, I will say, I think I talked about this a week or two ago when we were talking about food stamps. Maybe I didn't bring it up. I can't remember. But regarding like the food stamps being shut down for November, there's some like $11 billion spent on food stamps, and I could have that number totally wrong. It could be 11 trillion. I don't know. It's not 11 trillion. That's ridiculous. Maybe it was like 100 billion or something. I don't remember. It was a pretty big number. 11, 100, not really important. What is important, I think it was 11 actually. But anyway, what is important is we have groups across the country. Like one of my favorites is Salvation Army. They're a terrific group. They have food banks all across the country where you can just walk up. You tell them, I have a fridge, or no, I don't have a fridge, and they have 2 separate things of food. So you can get, if you have a fridge, you can get milk and eggs and cheese and all that sort of stuff. If you don't have a fridge, that's okay. You're still going to get about the same amount of food. It's just going to be more focused on canned goods and things like that don't require refrigeration. It is an absolutely amazing system. It's all nonprofit. It's not paid for by the government or anything. But I think maybe it should. I think maybe scrap that $11 billion going to SNAP programs, shut down SNAP entirely, get rid of it, pretend it never existed, and give maybe $2 billion, because it definitely doesn't need to be 11. Give a $500 million to Salvation Army. And I don't know if there's other groups like it. I'm quite sure there are. I don't know how Meals on Wheels works. My grandpa used to drive for them, but I always thought that was an amazing system as well. I don't know if that's a nonprofit or if that's the actual elderly folk paying for it. I don't really know. But anyway, that's beside the point. Find the programs that do this stuff, like Salvation Army. Give them some money, not nearly as much as we're putting into SNAP, and everybody in the country will be fed. I can guarantee that. It's a ridiculous system, the SNAP program. You go to McDonald's. First off, to get a burger and fries is like $15 at McDonald's. You can get a pound of beef at Grocery Outlet Bargain Market for $6. A thing of, man, I'm not doing well with words today. Hamburger buns. You can get a thing of hamburger buns for like $4 to $6, and maybe a block of cheese or something. It's not that hard to feed yourself on the cheap. I do it very regularly. But anywho, yeah, I just think that's a much better way to spend money. And when you're handing out food, actually, this is a great analogy. Remember when homeless people, you'd go up to a restaurant and there's a homeless guy sitting out front and he's asking for money, and you say, well, we're not going to give him money because he's just going to go buy booze with that. So we go inside and grab him a hamburger and hand him a hamburger, get him fed. That's what we need to do. Now I understand, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, teach a man to fish and he'll eat for life. I think that's also important. So, maybe another $500 million from that 11 can go to program like, I can't even remember the name of it. Maybe it's Salvation Army who's doing it as well. I think they are actually. But there are programs out in the country that you can go to if you are homeless, and you can get a kind of a starter job, a Goodwill kind of thing. And there's like they're recruiters basically for these types of people, the low down, living on the streets kind of thing. I have a buddy who used one of those programs years ago. I think he ended up working at McDonald's through that program. So there are systems in the country that exist that we can use to help people without just giving them cash that they could spend anywhere. I brought up McDonald's initially because I was next to one yesterday and I saw EBT welcome here or whatever. So I can use my EBT to go buy a $15 burger and fries from McDonald's, when instead I should be going to the bargain market and spending $10 on the supplies to make 4 cheeseburgers. Anyway, moving on. Well, let's keep it talking about money. Moving off the kind of foreign aspect and into money. California, 4th largest economy in the world. Man, we're doing well over here. Except the largest economies are kind of scary, like China. Just because they have a large economy doesn't mean it's a good country. And likewise with the state. Just because it's a big economy does not mean it's a good economy. This year, we're lined up to have an $18 billion deficit, just after having some like $100 billion surplus. There's like 3-4 years ago. Gavin Newsom came out and he just said like, oh, well, it's because of this and this that other people have done and yada, yada, yada. It's all bad news. 4th largest economy, and we got an $18 billion deficit. Clearly, there's something going on in the higher-ups' offices that is not quite right and could be fixed, but hasn't been. So you've got 2 options, really. Defund things, find money somewhere, save money from cutting things. Doge, basically. California Doge. Or tax the citizens more. Now, here's the real question. We all know California. Which one do you think it's going to be? I didn't do this intentionally, but it's going to be this one. They're going to give us the middle finger and ask for more taxes. There's no way they're going to cut anything. Sheriff Chad Bianco for governor of California. Fantastic fella. I highly suggest go follow him on Instagram or whatever other platform. I don't know what else he's on, but I follow him on Instagram. He's always posting stuff about kind of his plan for the state. It sounds truly fantastic. I think he is what we need in California. Now, will he win? Probably not. We're probably going the way of Prop 50, although that was a kind of a surprise vote. When it's an off year, none of the Republicans ever show up. And that's what happened this time. It was like 10% of Republicans voted. But anyway, let's make sure those numbers are up there in 2028 and 2026 for the halftime show, whatever it's called. Not the primaries, but I don't know. I kind of like the halftime show. Let's go with that. And just before we leave California, just something interesting occurred to me the other day. There's a lot of stuff going on with CARB. They are canceling a bunch of CDL licenses. CARB is almost out of money and still getting in trouble for different things. All these semi-truck crashes across the country done by illegal immigrants. They're illegally getting their driver's licenses in California. So there's been a big crackdown on it. And then to go with that, the Democrats are starting to shy away and go the opposite direction from the climate change thing. And it occurred to me the other day, like, why would they be doing that? And I went, oh, all the data centers. They're trying to build all these data centers, which are going to be insanely environmentally unfriendly. First off, they're putting them all in incredible pieces of natural beauty. They're just destroying, wonderful natural land and putting in these giant buildings with a whole bunch of batteries in them, basically. And they have to create a lot of energy, which does mean nuclear is probably coming back, which is excellent. I've wanted us to get back into nuclear energy for a long, long time. Just a couple nuclear plants and we can power the entire country. We don't need solar farms or wind farms to, again, like the data centers, rape the land. There's no point to that. But in order to have all these data centers and produce all this extra electricity, you have to say, yeah, we're done with climate change. So that's why Bill Gates came out the other day and said, like, oh, we don't have to worry about climate change anymore, because he wants to build giant data centers. What I find funny about this is they're probably not going to use this as a reason to get rid of like smog checks, because they're just income for the state is all. Income to pay for their data centers and whatnot. Just something interesting, some food for thought. Let me know down in the comments if you have any other ideas of what's going on in that nature. But we can pretty much guarantee that they are getting off of the environmental scared or whatever, environmentally frightening news of climate change for their own good, of course, for their own pocketbooks. In more news, there's always been talk about kind of, what if we switched the sexes or switched the races? I mean that when I say, there's the old trope about, well, if your man won't provide for you, find a man who will. If your man won't do the things you need him to do, find a man who will. And if you change that, well, if your woman won't wash the dishes for you and make you dinner, find a woman who will. And obviously that's incredibly offensive. So you can't say that. Well, someone finally made a really funny video. Well, I really don't have much more to say about it. I just think it's funny and enjoy.
I love to overcharge white people and organizations and do pro bono work for black orgs. And that's just me being very blunt. I will give them ridiculous rates, and then I'll have like a nonprofit or a black org or somebody doing some work, and they'll be like, I've only got this much money. And I'm like, keep it. A white person just cut me a check. Let's do this for free.
I love to overcharge black people in black organizations to do pro bono work for white organizations. I mean, that's just me being blunt. I give blacks ridiculous rates. But when it comes to these white people and white nonprofits and white organizations who want to work with me, I tell them to keep their money. We're going to do this for free because a black person just cut me a check.
There you go. I always enjoy that. I think it is just kind of a great, like a mental game that I think everybody should play, essentially. If you say something and you can't switch the script and have it not be offensive, then good. But if you flip the script and now all of a sudden you're pissed off, yeah, you're just a fool. What are you gonna do? Oh boy, who was that lady? I think it was Whoopi Goldberg. Oh man. At some sort of rally. Now I'm gonna have to do this in post, but I'm gonna try to find this video. I think it was Whoopi Goldberg who said very much similar things to this lady, of well, if I have a white man and a black man who are equally qualified, I'm going the black man all the way.
And you know who I like to hire? Women. I mean, if I'm not one of these man-hating lesbians or some feminists or something like that. I love men. I have amazing men in my life. Some amazing men at my table. Thank you guys for being here. But I'm just saying, but honest, I'm gonna be up front with you. When it comes to a position and I look on the paper and they right there, or she might be right here, and he's up there, I'm hiring the woman. And that's just how I operate. And I'm be honest with you, if she's a black woman, you got the job. Girl, you got the job.
Which obviously, reverse it. If there's a black man and a white man and they're both equally qualified, I'm going the white man all the way. What? Obviously, that is a civil rights infringement or infraction or whatever. And anybody who's doing that's business should be penalized. I don't know what that looks like exactly. If you could find all the people who did interviews, retribution, but no, I don't think that would work. So I think it's just kind of a monetary fine to the IRS, unfortunately. Because there's no real way to distribute those funds to the right people, because you could just say like, oh, I interviewed any old Joe off the street kind of thing. And they could also just throw away the resumes, and now they have no record of whoever interviewed for them. So it'd be hard to track down. But anyway, I think it's something worth thinking about. What should the punishment be for people who play this sort of game? I think it should be fairly severe because people go to jail for it all the time. White people do anyway, not the other side. I've got another very funny video that I think is a really fun mental game regarding ladies and their shopping habits. I've seen these two. They've been on the internet for a long time. I think it's awesome. They do a couples kind of entertainment system or whatever. I don't know how to explain it, but I think it's a beautiful thing. These guys are working together and having fun like this. But without further ado, there you are.
I think I just figured out why she and a lot of others are obsessed with shopping.
Oh my God.
And obsessed with buying stuff over and over. It's their primal instinct. Because thousands and thousands of years ago, they used to go out with baskets and forage for fruits and nuts, right? And have lots of it. And then bring that back to their people and be like, I have stuff. Here is the stuff, right? And I was thinking about it, and I was like, wait a second. Maybe that's why you like shopping so much.
Because it's my natural instinct.
And it's your natural instinct to shop.
To go.
You just want to fill those grubby little mitts.
With things that I see that I'm like, we need that.
And that's why if we go to a garage sale and spend $10 or we go to the mall and spend $300, you're just as happy.
Because I foraged. And it was a successful harvest.
Yes, because that's literally what I'm saying.
Oh my God!
Like you literally had a successful harvest, you foraged, and you were like, I feel good.
And you know what else?
What?
I'm feeling that instinct right now. We should go.
If that ain't the truest thing I ever heard, I don't know what is. And kind of on the flip side, I kind of think this is the same reason that fellas like watching football and whatnot. Because our job was to sit in the shrubs and wait for animals to move. We don't move ourselves, we don't talk, we stay silent and we wait. That's the man's trope. So sitting on the couch, watching the football, where's it going? Where's it going? Where's it going? It's like a dog chasing a ball. I'm sure in their head they're like, it's just like a squirrel. It's just like chasing a squirrel. So very funny. I do think a lot of human nature is still just based on our caveman instincts, which is very fun. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed those two little videos. I think they're terrific. I think they're very funny. Now I have a theory of the day. My theory of the day today is regarding the super smart guy. I did not write down his name. Shoot, I kind of figured I would be able to remember. Super smart in a wheelchair. He's like a wheelchair evil genius guy. Talks through a computer. Oh man, I'm sure y'all know who I'm talking about. Anyway, went to Epstein's Island, all that stuff. Stephen Hawking. There we go. Stephen Hawking, the evil wheelchair genius. He, can't move, right? He's set in his way, I guess. And he speaks by having a computer watch his eyes. My theory today is that all of that technology has been placed in all of our fancy fun cameras. Now, I don't really know how his system works. It's probably that he's looking at basically a keyboard, and as his eyes move, the computer tracks what keys he's looking at, types it out for him, kind of thing. But I like to think that it's really like reading his mind, essentially. Seeing the way that his eyes move and being able to infer the words that he's speaking. So just maybe the cameras on our computers are watching our eyes and knowing what we think about. The reason I thought of this is because there's so many instances where I will think about something. I won't even say it around my phone, my computer, whatever, and then ads will come up for it. It's a very strange thing. One time it happened with a welder. I was just whatever. I can't remember what I was doing, but I remember scrolling at the time and thinking to myself about a project I had to get done, and thinking like, oh, that's right, I gotta get a welder. I wonder where I could get a fair-priced welder. And 10 minutes later, there was an ad for a welder on my whatever I was scrolling through. Instagram, I don't use Facebook. But anyway, whatever it was, a very interesting happenstance. So I do kind of believe there's something that they can get out of our brains here, unless it was just a coincidence. But there doesn't seem to be too many of those these days. Anyway, that's my theory of the day. I would suggest closing your eyes if you're going to look at your devices. That will stop them from reading your minds. And well, I guess I talked pretty quick today, or maybe I didn't have very much information on this show. Well, whatever it is, I hope you've enjoyed so far, and we're at our last segment. It is the hero of the day. We sort of have two heroes today. I'm going to show you a clip in just a minute with both the heroes in it. They're working together to help our country, essentially. The kind of the true hero of the day, I guess. The main hero, the hero that led me to both these heroes. He's a very young fella. He can't be a day over 23. And from what I know, he started out in Oregon. What's the city? Portland. And he was looking into the riots outside of the ICE facility, which very impressively, enough patriots showed up. They ended up calling off all those riots and stuff. Not riots, but demonstrations. They had like a whole camp set up out front of the ICE thing with like barbecues and bathrooms and all sorts of stuff. It was ridiculous. And this hero was instrumental in assisting the, getting rid of all those folk. Then I think he went to New York and D.C. He went to Paris. He went to Paris for like whatever, a week or whatever. Got a bunch of video in Paris, and now he is in Chicago. Not Chicago. Dearborn. He's in Dearborn, which is just outside of Detroit, and they are protesting the Muslim takeover. It's incredible. I highly suggest you guys go look into all of this stuff. And I'll play a clip in a second, but before our hero of the week, Nick Shirley. If you're old enough to drink, I don't even know if you are, but if you are old enough to drink, here's your Coors Banquet for you. Nice and cold. It is freezing in this garage, so it keeps everything refrigerated. But Nick Shirley, thank you so much for all you're doing. And the other gentleman in this clip with you, I didn't even think about this. Didn't even cross my mind before this moment. I don't know his name. Now, I think he is working kind of with Nick and the other fella. I can't remember his name either, but I should know this. He's the gentleman who was arrested for the January 6th thing, and he spent, I think, 3 years behind bars and like 2 years in solitary confinement, which is brutal punishment for anybody, let alone somebody who didn't even go through a trial or anything. With all this ICE immigration stuff, everybody's saying, due process, due process. None of the J6ers got due process, so what are you even talking about? But anyway, he is running for Congress, I think he is. I can't remember what he's doing. Anyway, he's a terrific guy, just fighting to make America great again. That's really all they're doing. Just going around having conversations, and that's really what we all should be doing. Anyway, Nick Shirley, thank you very much. The January 6th guy, I can't remember your name. I apologize for that. Thank you very much. And for the young black gentleman helping these guys out, I believe you guys just kind of ran into each other, and it's kind of like, oh my gosh, are we best friends now? Yeah, I think we are, kind of moment. But it's a beautiful thing. Thank you all for what you're doing. And anyway, enjoy this clip of all them chatting about it.
And they're hearing what's happening as they attempted to burn the Quran, and people are freaking out. People are just pulling over. Come on, Ollie. Why would I get you? Why? I haven't done anything. They got word out that they tried to burn the Quran. And you're getting heated. You're just pulling over. You're hopping out of the car. You're ready to brawl with anybody.
I had my gun. I was gonna blast if I didn't see the cops. I swear to God. That's it. I don't care. To me, I don't care. My life, I don't give a f. Let somebody blast me. I don't give a f.
Just because of the burning of the Quran, the attempted burning.
I'll f that motherfucker's life up and his family. That's it. It's on camera. I will f that motherfucker's life up. Let him come to me face on face. Face to face, I'll kill him. On my mother's soul. So that's it.
You're killing him.
I'll kill him. Murder. Arrest him! Do your job!
What brings you out here today?
We want to make sure our children can grow up in the same America that I grew up in. White Christian country. Our founding fathers' blood soaks this land. Not for Muslims and Islamic jihadists to play their prayer calls where our children walk to preschool. It's disgusting what they've done to Dearborn, Michigan. They have turned this into Rome. They've turned it into London. It looks like another country here. Every single sign on every single street is in Arabic. How can you consider yourselves as assimilating Americans when you don't eat the same food we eat? You don't speak the same language we speak. You don't do anything that Americans do. Minneapolis in 1970 was a 95% white city and white state, Minnesota. If you ask Grok, the next 1,000 children born, only 42% will be white. We are seeing rapid demographic shift and ideologies that are clashing here in Dearborn. These people want to see white Christian men eradicated. They want to see our forefathers' land be destroyed. They do not have any love in their hearts. They are here to dominate us, Nick.
Would you say you're a white supremacist?
No, sir. I am an American supremacist.
So you about to throw down here in the middle of the street.
Hey, man, listen. These people hate our country. They hate everything we stand for. We have to oppose them everywhere they go, all right? black or white. If you're a Christian in this country, these people hate your way of life. They oppose your existence. We can no longer allow this. They come over here with their Ford Fusions. Go back to your country, all right?
Go back to Somalia.
Bye-bye.
Go back.
You think any of this is fear-mongering from the right?
No, it's necessary. You know, it's not fear-mongering. We need to do this because we're looking what's happening across the pond in Europe, in Berlin, and France, all over, in London. Do we want to be like that? No. And black people, guess what? This country that you live in, you benefit from it. You should stand with your Christian brothers. Stand with our white brothers and sisters. This is our country that we've built together. We lose it, we have nothing. We lose this land, there's nothing else. You're not going to go to Africa and survive. You're not going to go to the Middle East and survive. Guess what? America was built by Christians. White people conquered the land. Black people benefited from it. We have to stand up for it. That's important.
It's a beautiful thing when Americans come together and work together. The black gentleman in these videos, he's been getting yelled at by the Muslims like, oh, but who built America? And the black guy's just like, Christians, white people did. Like, that's pretty obvious. Yeah, black people were here picking the cotton, but that doesn't mean they were building the country. It's a beautiful thing. And it makes me think about like colonialism, because we all think that Whitey was the colonizer and pretty much the only colonizer. Ask anybody else who's the colonizer. Oh, Whitey. But it's very interesting that all the white colonizing countries ended up giving all the land back to the people they colonized. India, all over Africa. Now, I will say the countries that were colonized by whites are doing far better than the countries that weren't colonized. We left them with infrastructure, buildings, and forms of government and whatnot, where all the other places are just still kind of tribal and whatnot. But it's interesting that colonialism and slavery were both ended by whites and carried on by black and brown folk. There's an enormous slave trade. I think we still have more slaves in the world now than we ever have. And it's all done by Muslims for the most part, the Middle East and whatnot, and North Africa. It's a really sad thing. And I think the Muslims colonized 55 countries or something like that. They got the entire Middle East and North Africa. And then they did end up colonizing like Spain and Italy, Sicily, of course, and all sorts of other, kind of more Eastern European countries, Greece kind of thing, down in that area. And that is when we started the Crusades. Sorry, other way, this one. That's why we started the Crusades, because they started taking over European land. Like, yeah, we're fine with you taking over Africa because we don't have any interest there. That's not our land. Africa needs to protect itself. They couldn't. But also way back then, we weren't really capable of, like America is now, of just going all over the world and fighting other people's wars. So the only colonizers left on the planet are Muslims. And currently they're colonizing England, Sweden, Norway, America, Canada. They're spreading their Sharia law, which does technically just mean law. Sharia is just the Arabic for law, I believe. But of course, in white society, we understand that calling it Sharia law is specific to the one type of law that Muslims must follow according to their religion. And they come under the guise of, I'm just fleeing the oppression of my homeland, and I believe something different, but it's okay because we've got freedom of religion, and I won't force anything on anybody else. I'm just a nice guy. And then once they get enough population in here, they go, well, you know what? The guys who came before us were really nice guys, But I think there's enough of us now where we need to just start like running our own stuff, you know? We'll start making laws for us, kind of thing. And you guys have to follow it because you live in the areas that we took over. But they're just our laws. And that is the law of the Quran, essentially. Or as we call it, Sharia law. Anyway, yeah, I just think it's funny that Whitey was the one who ended colonialism, and they're still mad at us for it, even though the other folk are still colonizing. All right, that's all I got for the show. Thank you all for watching, those who do, or that person who does watch it. Thank you for watching. God bless, and I don't think I said it at the top of the show, but happy Thanksgiving! It's a beautiful thing. I am so thankful for just everything that I have, everything that I am. I mean, I'm far from a rich guy, but I've got a roof over my head. I've got food in the fridge, and beautiful family, and it's all thanks to God. So those who don't think this is a religious holiday, I personally believe you are incorrect, because Thanksgiving is a kind of a biblical thing there. If nobody had religion, nobody would care about anybody else, and nobody would thank anybody else or any other entity or whatever. But anyway, happy Thanksgiving. I guess you'll all see this on Monday or after that. But anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. God bless you. God bless America. God bless the whole freaking planet. Thank you all, and we'll see you next week.